What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be working on the Plymouth Satellite. I know the 71 Buick GS is sitting behind us, but I actually got a lead on a full set of interior, including really nice door cards and bucket seats and rear seat. So we're going to be able to replace all of this with nice clean parts. I don't know when we're going to be digging into this. Hopefully it's fairly soon. But when something like that comes up and at the right price, one of the reasons why I have several products or projects going is because it's for myself, it's not for a customer, and I got to buy when things are cheap. It's kind of like buying stock. You don't buy at the high, you buy at the low. You know, buy the dip, guys. So we are going to be digging into this hopefully fairly soon, but there's the parts that we need. And a nice, I mean, don't get me wrong, this interior is not terrible, but I want to have a nice set of bucket seats for it. So I think that it's going to be a couch. That'd be a great looking couch. Anyways, all right, we got to go do some brake lines, fuel lines, and stuff like that on the the Satellite. So let's hop to it. The other day we pulled the brake lines off of the actual rear end, and it's a good thing. I kind of had a bit of issue with putting the 4-speed manual swap in, because I was going to use the copper stuff that we use at work. It's DOT approved, but apparently you can't use it for racing, which I never knew that. So we're going to be doing, we have to start from scratch. I got to make sure that the fittings I have are correct, and then I'm going to be heading up to Rich, and we're going to bend and flare with a very nice flaring tool the brake lines for the rear axle. Once we do that, we'll be able to run our fuel lines. Once the fuel lines are in, we'll be able to put the new sending unit in the fuel tank and button up the rear end, and then this is done. And then we just have to go from that bracket right there to the front, but we can do that another day. Today is, I want to get the engine back together, and before I put the fuel tank back in, I want to have this line done, because, you know, look how much access we have. So let's go ahead, check the fittings I have to make sure they're correct, and if they are, we'll head up to Rich's and we'll get those bent and flared. So we're over at Rich's garage, and he's working on something else. So we have to go ahead, just quickly flare a couple of lines, but he's got a really cool tool to do it. Not your standard Harbor Freight one. Also, this right here would have been my third Toyota Supra, and unfortunately he bought it before I did. Literally the day I was gonna go buy it, I think like the day before he bought it. And it's really weird because, talk about a small world, right? I was going to go buy this thing, and like, we're talking 12 years ago, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. It's hard to tell. It's hard to remember. This was going to be number 3. Now I'm on like number 6. So, and here it is. It was rough. It had a blown head gasket, you know, standard 1986.5 to 92 era Toyota Supra issues. That was because the head gasket was just the wrong material when it was imported to the United States, and they just didn't have the bolts torqued down to the appropriate specifications, because they were still going off of the, you guys aren't here for that. We'll cover that in another day. But yeah, totally small world. Matter of fact, when I sold my straight 6 engine, he was thinking about buying it, and he's just like, I don't know where it is, and he was really unsure about picking it up. And we live fairly close to each other, so what are the chances? Very small world. Anyways, here is our really cool, like I said, not your Harbor Freight set. And I'm going to set you guys up, and we will work on getting a, you can see we already have one set up. Perfect double flare, both sides, and I already have it bent. But we have to make this line right here, and we'll use this cool little tool here as well. So let me turn the mic around and set you guys up. Alright, first thing we need to go ahead and do is just quickly cut this one to length. Pretty straightforward. Just kind of figure out where our length begins and where it ends. And we're looking at just about here. Now, the cool thing about his kit, and I'll show it to you in a second. Actually, I'll show it to you now. So let me mark this real quick before we get too far from it. Oh, butterfingers. Okay. The kit comes together like this. You have your metric side, you have your standard side. You also have fuel lines and stuff you can make with these guys. Super fancy, guys. I'm really digging this thing. So we need this. Set you guys right back up. And we need to just quickly, you know, standard fanfare for this. Put it in there. It's a lot nicer than my Harbor Freight kit, and I'm very grateful for him lending it to us for today, or letting us use it. Now, it's not the least, or the most, it's not the least expensive kit. That's the word I was looking for. But when you see how well this thing works, like, I'm dying to get one now. You can use it for quick connect, fuel lines, brake lines, flaring your fuel lines, everything. It's quite the tool. All right. Set that aside. Now grab our connectors, slide one of them on. Then once you're in position, this just slides right in. You're going to hit this piece right here. Back this up a little bit so I can get that in a little bit further. We need to pop that piece out anyways. So once it's in there, you feel it connecting to the plate, just give her a quick tighten. This is actually the final piece. We don't need that one yet. We will eventually. Get that guy in there. Obviously not a sponsored tool, but a very cool tool. Close it up. Back her out. Oh, Butterfingers. And just like that, tell me that's just not the coolest thing. And we just do it one more time. Make sure you put these on the right direction. You'll have a bad time. Pop this out while we have it there. Slide this one back in. I will be using this for the fuel lines as well, as it's just such a nice, convenient tool. Get yourself a nice flare so you don't have to worry about fuel leak. Tighten her up, and you just do it one more time. And we just put it away. Perfect flare every time. Expensive, but I'm definitely looking at getting one of these guys because you can't really argue with the quality that it does. So yeah, pretty straightforward tool. Now we move over to the bench to put our bends in it. Pretty straightforward. The cool thing about this tool is you just kind of get where you need it to be. Grab it. Make sure your fitting is on the appropriate side so it doesn't get stuck in it. Put your little bend small ones like that, you can do by hand. Make sure you don't put too small of a radius in these things because it doesn't like it.
How you doing?
Doing good. Say hello to everyone on the internet.
Hey, what's up, boys? There you go. Got to figure it out.
Oh, I just took that bend right out of that.
Took it out.
It's okay, we'll fix that. There you go. Again, make sure your fitting's in the appropriate location so you don't get yourself in a bind. And there we go, all done. Now we just gotta go put it back on the car, get the fuel lines done, and get the fuel tank back in. Well, we have the brake lines run, and now we're gonna run the fuel lines. Now this right here, and I had to call up Wayne over at Lebanon Valley Dragway to kind of get an idea as far as the rules of this, because I just want to make sure we're following them. This is SAEJ 1650 FMSI brake fuel transline tubing DOT. So as far as brake lines and fuel lines, as long as it's something that is rated by the DOT, then you should be good. So we are going to be running this stuff because it's very easy to manipulate. It's going to fit the pickup tube that we have, and it's just a matter of being able to fish it through all the locations. Now, as you can see, we have a few clips we need to take off, and then we will just run it straight like they did it, all the way to the front. Pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, it's not going to be easy for me to film, but you know, I'll show you afterwards what it looks like, because this goes through certain areas and then through, because this of course is not a frame vehicle. It has frame rails attached to certain points, but you really can't go through the frame rail because it doesn't go anywhere. So we have to mount it the same way that the factory did, and that's what I was going to do anyways. But you know, follow the rules, and if you you run into something, he actually gave me, you could just Google NHRA rulebook 2021 and a just PDF, and you can get a PDF of the entire thing. It is actually fairly easy navigated. You can get a physical copy if you'd like, but yeah, it's a pretty good thing to have. So yep, make sure you follow the rules. You don't want, you know, I'm trying my absolute best to get this here on time and everything, and we want to make sure we don't get disqualified last second. So, you know, the little things, guys. All right, let's get this done. And last part of the fuel line, which you can see, we got to replace this, make a little bit more of a cut on that so she's 100%. And once that happens, we'll be able to go ahead and set this in there, which is be fun to get this off. Give me a minute. This is going to take a hot minute. I always say, when in doubt, use a bigger hammer. Or, in this case, a pneumatic one. That works even better. So, I mic'd or scoped this out, and One thing was this was not really the prettiest thing in the world, so I figured it'd be nice to switch this out, as you can see. But if you look inside, other than a little bit of, well, you can't really see very well, but it's not terrible. I'm going to go ahead and just rinse it out with some gasoline, and pretty much it. So give me a minute and we'll be back. Now we just slide the new unit in, which is a little bit more fancier than the old unit and probably 10 times harder to get in. There we go. Not terrible. There we go. I forgot to take the old seal off, which has become one with the tank. Slide the new tank seal on. And the new retainer. Make sure this is oriented in the correct direction, like so. I think. Nope. Like so. Yep. Maybe. It's beautiful. Get her in there like that and give her the old what for. That'd be why. That one wasn't biting down there. Okay, let's try that again. I know a lot of people think I have too many projects, but there's a reason why I have several of them. One, making content for you guys is it's pretty tough to get everything you need. Two, look at the drift truck. Getting that donor car took 5 months to get, and unfortunately we were waiting for the 318 to get on the dyno, but that never happened. But now we get to just enjoy it. Comes back to the Buick GS. One of the big things was I wanted bucket seats, because where the shifter was going to end up being, well, a bench seat wasn't going to be even feasible. And let's just think, fun factor, bucket seats for that thing. But this is our haul that we got for, I would say, an incredible price. We were able to get basically all of this for the price of a good frame. So I'm really, really excited about it. There's a lot of moving parts inside one of these frames that really makes replacement ones very expensive. So let's go ahead, pull these out, and we'll take a quick look at them. Like I said, it's going to need a reupholstery kit, but I'm not too worried about it. So I think this is a pretty good score. Our old door cards are really soggy, although this one doesn't have the little pouch like mine does. But this will match these. It has the perforated leather, vinyl, and the cushions aren't really that bad, but I'm sure we can get a whole kit and we'll replace the upholstery, the cushions. The biggest issue was getting the frames for these. They're expensive and they're fairly hard to find, so I'm very happy that we got a nice set of bucket seats. Now, what we also accomplished yesterday was, because today's a different day, I already showed you the brake lines, I believe. We need to go ahead and put a new bracket on this right here. We got to get our final little measurement. Cut this a tiny bit. I want to have less than 3 inches between connectors, because we're going to have 3 inches from the fuel tank to the fuel line, from the fuel line to the pump, from the pump we're going to go do hard line, and then we're going to do less than 3 inches with a fuel filter in between. So we got to get the final measurements done on this thing so it's lined up, fasten it after we flare it, make a line that goes up to there. It's got to actually hard fasten to that, and if we follow the actual brake line, we get down here, you can see I've actually run it the same way the factory did. It follows the same exact path and goes through the torsion bar cross member, and we have to go over here. You can actually see it coming from where the fitting is right there, up the frame rail itself, and then down right here. And it goes through just like the factory did. We have to cut it to final length and flare it just like we do with the front, and once that's done, we're going to be able to just put the fuel tank back in. The battery did die when I was putting the new sending unit in, but as you can see, she's all set. And the brake lines are in. So yeah, we're actually making really good progress. So today I want to finish up the fuel lines and brake lines, and then I have a few errands I have to run today, and tomorrow we'll be putting the engine back together, and I really hope that means we're going to be able to take her around the block a few times. Not that it's really a block. We're going to take her around a few of the side roads here. She is registered and insured, she just doesn't have any lights, so not breaking the rules, just I can't drive really long distances without getting the light stuff done, and we don't have time for that. So it will be trailered to Musclepalooza. Not that I don't have faith, but I know by the time I leave it's going to be dark, and realistically you can do the whole arm signaling and stuff like that in New York, but I can't sugarcoat it. Safety first, guys. You don't do things you're going to get yourself hurt, and especially don't do things that are going to hurt other people. So like I said, tomorrow we're going to go ahead and get this engine back together. We need to go through, we have one thing left on the suspension I need to knock out. It's just literally put the bar in and put a nut on it, and then do a couple once-overs, and once we're happy with it, we'll take her on the road and see how she does. So the only real concern I have is the engine has only had the cam break-in period, not really, and the new piston rings break-in period. So I think we're going to be golden, but we won't know until we know. I have faith in the little engine. I think that everyone poured their heart and soul into this thing. I think it's going to do fantastic. I don't think it's going to let us down. So the little engine that could. I've had a great adventure for this thing. I wouldn't change it for the world. And I mean, this thing has gone something like 3,500, maybe more, 3,500, maybe 4,000 miles. And it's never even seen the road. So I know I'm rooting for the old girl. I think it's going to be fantastic. So a big thank you to everyone that has been involved. And that's all I have for you today. I got to get back to work. It's early in the morning, so hopefully I'm able to get another video out for you tomorrow. So you guys have yourself a beautiful day. Remember, as always, keep her shiny side up, and God bless.